SeeJeanty, Haiti Biz News. Hello, hello, good morning, everyone. I do want to wish everyone a very warm welcome on this 18th of April. We have so much to talk about. We've been off air for a little bit here, and certainly we want to make up time per usual. It's a monthly show that we have going on here. And of course, those who do come in here in numbers per usual, the regulars, the consistent folks, I do want to thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday here with myself and being engaged with what's going on in the country. Before I get too deep into my usual chit chat with you guys, let me do the usual stuff I have to do in the background here. It takes about 2-3 minutes for me to get going. It's a one-man show here on Sundays, so it's just me doing things to get this production on air, and of course it takes first booting this up. Right, so I'll go ahead and get that intermission video going. We'll be back in 2-3 minutes, so grab a seat. This is your chance to grab your popcorn, grab your notepad. We're hitting you guys with facts. You know what I'm saying? This is a good time too to share it. Hey, SeeJeanty is on air right now. Go ahead and share it with some folks who can appreciate information from a TED perspective. All right, so anyhow, we'll be back in about 2-3 minutes, guys. All right, don't go anywhere. And boom, we are back. We're streaming on everything. We're streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Periscope. I want to welcome everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning, SeeJeanty, the guy, your connection, your eyes and ears on the ground here in Haiti. Hello. It's always a pleasure to be speaking with you guys directly. It's not a pre-scheduled recording, though we have some great videos we dropped the past month. I'm not doing it to you. Those aren't live, right? This is live. This is real time. So those who are able to watch this while it's happening, hello, good morning. I see a lot of folks, a lot of names I'm used to seeing. So what's up, guys? For those who may be watching this after the fact, you can always skip past some of the usual stuff I got to do in the beginning of this. Probably jump about 10 minutes ahead if you're watching this after the fact, and you'll get the news, you know. But the fun part of this show for me, of course, is the fact that I can interact with people in real time. In real time, I get to read comments, chat with you guys in real time, and that's what makes this fun for me. So those who are watching it in real time and live, you know, don't be a stranger. Drop a comment. You know, I won't read them all at least on air, anyways. But I am seeing them, and I will engage with those that are most appropriate. And of course, if timing allows, we'll see how much time it takes me to get through the news. But if I can spend an extra 10, 15 minutes after the newscast just to read comments and answer some questions and have a bit of one-on-one time, certainly we're going to try to do that, right? So real quick, what's up? What's up? I want to say what's up to Marie Lambert. Saka Fet Marie. Good to see you in here. We got JRMJ. First time I'm seeing JRMJ in the chat. I want to say what's up to you. Alex G. Marie, what's up? Hey, Victor. Was just about to tell me off for not being on air. So Aldo, good to have you in here. We got Marie-Jean St. Germain. What's up? What's up? We got friends Camille in the house. We got Nora's mission. First time I'm seeing you in the chat. Hope to see you again. Again, we're here every Sunday. Try to get here at least every 4 weeks if timing allows. Haitian King. First time I'm seeing you in the chat. What's up, man? We got Fedora Laguerre in the house. First time I'm seeing you in the chat. What's up? Negma Wong, the stalwart, the veteran Negma Wong. Good to have you in the chat as always, Negma Wong, and so many of my other regulars. Good sup. Good sup. Well, that should be a word, right? Hey, good sup, man. I like that. That's our new thing here. Good sup, man. Good sup. I like that. Just making up words. And of course, in IG, we got a couple folks. What's up to a few folks I see in here today? You know, happy to have you in the chat. Per usual, we do want to quickly put that little Creole disclaimer in here because, you know, the Creolese are strong. You toujours fait nous comprendre ce qui est sous nous a fait un bail sous terrain Haïti, il y a un langage pour nous bail c'est en créole. Avec raison, il y a plus de respect pour le langage maman papa nous qui connectent nous tous. Vous comprenez? Mais comme toujours dit, c'est un bail qui est très important que nous ayons possibilité, capacité pour nous faire mission ça dans le langage anglais parce que c'est folie intéressant. Bouche moi trop bon pour quoi là, mais simplement que comme un américain qui apprend sur le bois, j'aimerais rien sur Haïti dans le langage préférablement qui préfère. OK, voilà. L'autre balle là tout on connaît Gabriel qui a critiqué maintenant, so qui te m'a répondu, c'est une raison tout nous très critique, nous très et qui est fatigué oui, c'est une raison que là aujourd'hui. Mais pour me finir avec les rapidement, c'est que comme l'autre bois, je ne bats rien sur Haïti dans le langage. C'est un problème parce que celle mon l'autre bois, tout le monde, Canadien, Américain, Française, tout, même le langage pas pour recevoir des nouvelles internationalement. Et c'est anglais, vous consommer. Effectivement, ok. Il n'y a rien qui a recevoir ce nouvel bois qui a une explication pour qui ça. La raison, non, nous avons tête fouette. Celui qui était toute nouvelle mais CNN, Fox News, Vice News, et son seul image, haïtien a mangé l'autre haïtien, et mon apprécié, même l'aime qu'à dire l'autre bois, aux États-Unis, je suis dans l'autre mass shooting, jour avant hier, on centre FedEx, 10 moun mouri, 10 moun, ok? Chaque jour, chaque week-end dans Chicago, puis petit moun pour mourir en bas balle à Chicago, c'est environ 15 moun chaque week-end, même pas de sous semaine là. Mais nous pas des moun qui a annulé voyage aux États-Unis parce qu'ils connaissent que les gars beaucoup plus bon qui pas bon. Mais Haïti pas même et compréhension, même les par exemple, je fais beaucoup en semaine moins en cerveau. Après bon ma connait rien comment nous on doit en cerveau. Wa connait rien sur rien. C'est moun qui a voué commission par lettre sous cheval qui a dit mais ça passe dans l'autre zone tellement à l'aise tellement pas connait rien. Vous comprenez? Mais pour un haïtien qui l'autre bois, pour un blanc qui l'autre bois qui a recevoir la nouvelle yo pour au point ça Haïti. OK? Pour au point c'est nouvelle ça qui a fait l'autre bois c'est tout pays à net, c'est pas vrai. C'est pas vrai. Vous comprenez? So anyways, that's the usual Creole disclaimer saying, you know, the usual, which I have to say, even though somebody will come in late and demand why we're not doing this in Creole. I have absolute respect for the Creole language. In fact, it's a good time to mention, I have a SeeJeanty en Creole channel, that every episode we do now is actually over there. And we're trying hard to get those numbers over there up. So if you guys are watching this and you weren't aware, and you do have an ability to understand Creole, and are you okay with my accent? It's not grating to the ears. Feel free. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. If you're watching on IG, just search for SeeJeanty en Creole, right, on YouTube, and you'll find it, right. So that's just the usual I have to state when it comes to, and of course I am by a window, and so do excuse some of the music coming out of the speakers right now. It should go away in a good minute or so. And so that is, and so that's the usual Creole disclaimer. Of course, a big thing I want you guys to know is we have the book. The book is out. I got to mention that 101 Ways to Make Money in Haiti, right? Lucrative guide and all that, right? It's been out for a little bit. If you haven't bought the book yet, I'm assuming you're not interested in learning how to find you a successful path forward for Haiti. So that's fine. But I'll drop the link nonetheless. We have it in digital format. And we have it in digital format and hard copy as well, right? So keep that in mind. And of course, we have the SeeJeanty Action Group. The SeeJeanty Action Group. It's a group on Facebook that provides you guys an ecosystem to collaborate, right, and be part of the program that's happening here. Okay, all right, let me go pop outside real quick and get this music to get down. Well, I think it's done. All right. I mean, I was just about to drop some real Creole in a second out there. So SeeJeanty Action Group is a spot where folks, you guys can collaborate independent, because I know we don't connect once a month as much as we used to. It's only once a month, right? And so that is a space where I welcome you guys to join. I welcome you guys to share news that's pro-business, pro positive image of Haiti, because we need a space where, it's not a WhatsApp group, that's just, sharing the most recent Jacqueline Charles tweets. You know what I'm saying? We need a place where we can actually be inspired to change Haiti, right? The news that comes out in so many places, it doesn't inspire you to change Haiti. It inspires you to stay the hell away, right? And Haiti will never change if we don't take responsibility amongst ourselves to impact and be part of that change. And I can tell you, if we don't see inspiration to what's possible, it's not going to be possible, right? So SeeJeanty Action Group is a place for that. So do be a part of it. Of course, I always do want to mention, place that I am always a part of is the private WhatsApp group. The private WhatsApp group is a growing community. I think we're pushing almost 30 people now. And these folks are engaged on the ground. They're doing different activities. They're sharing their progress as they're building out. We got folks in there. They have their own farms. We have folks in there who own recycling plants. We have folks in there who own travel groups and eco lodges. We have just folks who are in there building real estate for themselves, real estate for others. I say like apartments. So we have a diverse group of people within the WhatsApp group, and it's a community that helps each other. I have contacts. Somebody drops a question. Hey, how can I get this? Or how can I get that? Guess what? You have my book of business when you're part of the WhatsApp group, and you have the book of business of everyone in there because we're in there to help. It's not just, oh, do this, do that. What can we do to help you, right? And not to mention, I have a 25-year lawyer in that group by the name of Giovanna Menard, and she's always there to provide insights from a legal perspective. And that's all part of the WhatsApp group. Not to mention, I do private Zooms. In fact, I have a Zoom with the group in about 2 weeks, 2 weeks this Sunday, not next Sunday, but the other Sunday. That's one thing I'm going to try to do more and more because I really do like the conversation and talking to people directly. And again, when I say it's a Zoom, literally it's my image and you get to zoom in and everyone, about usually the sizes vary, but other people are in there. I like to compare it. It's a visual clubhouse with people who aren't just talking. People who've been to clubhouse know what I'm talking about, right? You get 9 times out of 10, these groups are just people talking. Well, I haven't read the Constitution, but here's my opinion. I don't really know the full details of what's happening on the ground in Haiti, but here's my opinion, right? We don't have none of that. We have folks who are here and they're knowledgeable. I'm in there, I'm knowledgeable. And we have real live chats with each other, usually for an hour. Though I'm going to start pushing it 2 hours because I'm enjoying it so much. I told my wife the other day, man, I'm really enjoying these private WhatsApp group Zoom live chats, right? I think I'm going to have to push it to 2 hours. I'm having so much fun. Time flies. I look at the time, oh, crap, it's an hour. I'm pulling myself away like a good video game. I don't want to stop, right? So that's there. I'm going to drop the link one more time for folks. It is a paid service. And when I say paid, you do contribute monthly to be a part of this group, this community. But understand the funds that you're providing, it isn't going in my pocket. I don't keep a single dollar of what's in there. That goes to funding SeeJeanty Media. It goes to funding the, for example, we're gonna have an incredible. I can't wait for you guys to see this. The videos we're gonna drop this coming week on Unsalvo. Oh, it's gonna blow your mind. It's just some of the best work me and my team have done yet, right? And it pays for, the team salaries. It pays for the incidentals of when we travel these places, gas, food, stuff like that. And on top of that, later this month, we're going to Jeremy. I'm gonna say that again. We're going to Jeremy. We're going to do a series just like we did for Jacqueline. We're doing a Jeremy series, and we're looking to do more. I'm eyeing after Jeremy. We're looking to St. Mark. After St. Mark, we're looking for other cities, and the contributions to the SeeJeanty WhatsApp group, 100%. You hear me? 100% goes to new production, investment of equipment, paying of the salaries of my team. And so just know, not only are you getting a direct benefit in terms of being in a community that is going to support you and make sure whatever you're trying to do is successful, you're also being a direct reason to why this can exist, right? This sort of equals this, what we do here on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, so again, take a look at it. And I'm gonna drop it one last time. The private WhatsApp group, do join and be part of that change. Okay. As you know, hats off. We're at 13,000 YouTube subscribers. What? 13,000 YouTube subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. The growth that the channel has been having. So hats off to a lot of the new folks. I do appreciate the growth, and it's encouraging, and not just the growth. A lot of people say, SeeJeanty, you should be so much larger for what you're doing. I don't want to be large. You know why? You're large, you get a lot of, let me not talk bad about any other group of social media audiences. Let's not do that. Let's be the mature ones here, right? But I will say this: we have the most quality group of people within this. It's not just people following just to follow, just for chuckles. Everyone who follows, their impact players. And I know this. I didn't really right? I know this because when I drop a video that asks you guys to contribute, for example, the City Soleil Hospital, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share how much money we've raised, but hopefully she doesn't get too mad. But the person who connected me to what their incredible work Jose Ulysse is doing told me the other day that they raised $1,600. I'm gonna say that again. We raised $1,600, right? And the money keeps coming. Like she's telling me, like, I try to always verify for my PayPal, like, am I connected with these people? Did these people send a message on our social media somewhere? And when she sees a name like Muhammad from Pakistan, donating to her, she's like, yeah, that's SeeJeanty, because we didn't have any Muhammads donating before. We didn't have anybody from Singapore donating before to us. We didn't have anybody from Chile donating from us before. And I'm like, yo, that's empowering, man. That means, again, my numbers matter. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I do not want to ever be the guy with 100,000 people, but when you ask people to donate or do something impactful, 5 people donate. I know of the 20,000 people I may have one day, 18,000, they'll give $1 to a venture that's going to be impactful. I love getting stories from the people we feature, and they say, yo, Chris, I'm inundated. People have ordered, people have visited, people have, I didn't expect this from SeeJeanty. Like, what? Like I laugh now. A lot of people, they won't necessarily know who I am, right? Or know my audience. I forget, it's not about me. Know my audience, right? And so I'll go to a place and they're like, yeah, because they think I'm just some regular, some guy with a camera, right? In this day and age, everyone with a camera is a social media personality, right? So go and they're like, yeah, give my email. I'm like, are you sure? Yeah, give my personal email and give my personal number. I go, are you sure? I'm not sure you. Okay. You say this because you don't know me. You don't respect the SeeJeanty audience. Okay, watch this. So I do what they tell me. I put their personal email. I put their personal number. Like clockwork. Watch this. Like clockwork. Within 24 hours, they message me and say, SeeJeanty, please. Excuse me, I'm choking. So funny. Please take my number off. please, SeeJeanty, take my email off. I'm being inundated. People are messaging me left and right for my product or service. I can't handle it. I'm being flooded. And I go, hey man, I try to tell you. SeeJeanty audiences are the real deal, man. I don't know what to tell you. Now you know who you're messing with. Okay. Next time, put some respect on my name. Put some little seasoning on my name, man. Because SeeJeanty audience is the real deal. So that's the usual, top of the hour stuff I gotta share with you. Oh, I almost forgot a big one before I move on to the news is Valerio Canez. We have a sponsorship opportunity with Valerio Canez that is going to be awesome. You're going to start seeing in some of our, particularly our citywide episodes, you'll start seeing some hey, sponsored by Valerio Canez at the top, and then towards the end of the episode, you'll hear me in a voiceover, talking about what they're offering. And what Valerio Canez is offering is because they have this new service where you can buy stuff. You in the diaspora can buy stuff from a distance from America for family in Haiti. And so we're gonna be talking about that, and they do want to sponsor an episode or two, and that helps tremendously. I mean, just the fact that really the big thing for me is my team, man. I'm a big believer in taking care of people. I didn't come to Haiti, I came to Haiti to employ, to hire the incredible talent that's here, and when you get these sort of sponsorship deals, and the fact that I can break off a chunk of that percentage and give it to my team, and really compensate them for the work they're doing, that beyond anything is incredible, right? And so you'll start seeing that, and I think anyone who's been watching YouTube long enough, they know sponsorships is the name of the game, right? I think anyone who knows YouTube knows, okay, that's okay. In fact, usually it's a sign that you made it in a way when you do have those this episode is brought to you by Squarespace, or this episode has been brought to you by DoorDash, or what's the other one? NordVPN. That's the other one. This episode is brought to you by NordVPN, the #1 VPN, blah, 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 right? So it's part of the terrain. Anyone who knows what this is, it shouldn't be a big deal, and again, I don't endorse any product or service that I don't stand behind, right? And I've been a user of Valor Canez, purchaser for a long time. In fact, I was moving to a new apartment not too far off from this office, and I bought my furniture from there. Right? And so they have, it's great customer service, great stuff, and I wouldn't be pushing it just to push it. I would never just push stuff just for some cash, right? So, anyways, that's great news. I'm very happy to have that collaboration. Hopefully there'll be more. Hopefully there'll be more, because the more we get in terms of funding, the more we'll be able to do, because there's so much content to film about Haiti. I had someone in the chat here saying, "Yeah, have you been to Leogane yet?" No, I haven't been to Leogane. That's on the to-do list, right? There's so many places in Haiti to do, and so we're hoping to do more and relationships like Valor Canez is certainly a big part of that, right? So thanks for enduring that. The top of the hour updates. Again, we have a lot of updates because we don't talk weekly like we used to. So let's see. Michael Miguel says, "Hey, open up sponsorship to us who have businesses." Hey, listen, DM me. DM me. Listen, if you have a business, you're watching this, you have a business, you want SeeJeanty to talk about it, on the live stream, or maybe, hey, even sponsor an episode. Listen, I got some things we can talk about. Message me. I really quick. One guy I've been watching for a while is Fernando Estime. You guys, sure, Fernando Live. I'm sure a lot of you guys may know Fernando. And I remember when he first started, what he does, which is does daily live shows, right? You're just like this, just a guy talking on the camera, just like this. And now, if you guys watch Fernando Estime, what do you see? You see an entire smorgasbord of advertisement, just advertisements here, advertisements there, advertisements here, advertisements on this side of his head, advertisement on this side of his head. It's hilarious. But I give him props because he's found a way to engage and keep a Haitian audience engaged and informed, while he's certainly using those funds to drive growth in his media. So hats off to Fernando. I'm not saying I'm ever going to be that guy with advertisements here and there, because fundamentally, understand, I always share this. I'm not a media personality. Believe it or not, I'm not being a big time media personality. It doesn't interest me, right? In fact, 2-3 years from now, I'm not going to be on camera like this. 2-3 years from now, we're going to have an actual. People ask me, where is this going? Where do you see what I'm doing here, right? And we're certainly for Haiti Biz News, I see it. In fact, heck, even before the end of this year, it would be nice where we can go back to daily shows where we have an actual journalist here talking to you guys. It may not be live, it will be a pre-recorded probably, but giving you guys English and Creole, English cut and then the Creole cut, what's happening in Haiti, right? And from a business perspective, just like we do here every month. So that's the direction I'm going to go. I will go there, right? I am going there. The point isn't for me to be the person. And my goal has always been, I'm an infrastructure builder, right? I see there's a problem in this country. So I came and I've built and I'm building several different businesses that address the opportunities via the problems that I see in this country, right? And a big problem I always saw was the lack of information that existed, and thus my media company, right? But the goal, of course, isn't to always be here. It's to grow what we have here, but not necessarily be in front of it, right? I want to be the strategic mind that's growing the lack of things we have here, right? So that's going to happen. That's going to be a thing. And I can tell you again, the sponsorship, being part of the private WhatsApp group, giving us the financial resources to do that is what's going to allow it to actually happen. You see what I'm saying? All right, guys. So thanks for enduring that bit of chit chat, right? As always, share the stream. So important. We got 84 folks here on the live here. We got 7 folks on IG. Please share the stream. Let's get some more folks in here. We're about to get into the news. Let's get folks informed, and so again, I'm not here to give you my opinion. I'm going to give you the facts. I'll give you some background, right? And I welcome other people who have different views. Please drop. If you totally disagree with me, please drop it in there. Just be respectful, right? Let's not get into the vitriol of X, Y, and Z, and any of my Dominican friends in there, be nice. My Dominican friends are waiting for me to say something about Dominican Republic. Be nice, my Dominican friends. Okay, I'll be nice to you. Be nice to me. Okay, be nice to us. Okay, so that's the usual warnings I got to give. Be nice, be respectful. Okay, give me your counter, your different views, but okay, let's just keep it fact based. All right. So let's begin. Let me take a sip of my water. Ooh, needed that right there. I needed that right there. So what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about COVID. Got to talk about COVID. There's some stuff on that front. We're going to talk about Constitution. We're going to be talking about the Constitution and what's happening from that perspective. The election. We're going to be talking about the election. We're going to be talking about the election. There's some things we got to talk about there. There's a level 4 advisory in Haiti. We're going to talk about that. Excuse me. There's the ports. There's some news as it relates to the ports. We're going to talk about that today. The exchange rate. Got to talk about the exchange rate. That's coming. We're going to talk about that. Lots of local aid and business development. Lots of local aid and business development. There's some things Digicel is doing. There's some things Robin Barber Court is doing. The 11th annual financial summit wrapped up, and we're going to be talking about that today. There's been some entrepreneurs who are going to get some funding, which is awesome. BRH, the Central Bank of Haiti, they're doing some stuff, right? We're going to be talking about that. There is some news from the Dominican Republic as it relates to the intersection of Haiti, and so that's in the news. Again, I'm going to remind you again, my Dominican friends in here, y'all be nice, okay? Be careful. I've only banned like 2-3 people out of the chat, and out of that 3, 2 of them were not so nice Dominicans. So that's why I'm saying be nice. International aid. There's some things happening from an international aid perspective that have the potential to really impact the situation on the ground, and we're going to talk about that. Agriculture. We're going to talk about. Lots of news happening on the agricultural front. Digital currency. What is that? We're going to talk about that today, and there's some things Haiti's doing on that perspective. And finally, sports, specifically football. We're going to talk about that today. There's some football happening today. We're going to be talking about that. So if any of that is interesting to you, any of that is interesting to the people you know, share this stream. Hit that share button. Yo, man, remember that thing? Yo, digital currency in Haiti. Hey, man, watch this show, man. This guy's going to talk about it. It's going to break it down, The guy who's about to send their car to Haiti. You don't know what's happening? Send that to that guy. There's some stuff happening about ports. He's going to be talking about it, man. Come check it out. Share it. All right? Share the stream, man. Share it. Let's get some more folks in here. Okay? All right. First news story has to do with COVID, right? First news story has to do with COVID. Now, really the big thing, other than the fact that, of course, Haiti has plateaued, we haven't seen a big spike for quite some time here in the country, has to do with the fact that, Haiti has refused the AstraZeneca vaccine. Haiti has refused the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, I know a lot of heads in here are like, yeah, good. These vaccines we don't know what's in them, X, Y, and Z. First and foremost, let me share with you. I am going to be taking the vaccine on my side, not necessarily this one, but a vaccine, right? Maybe the Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson initially. I was looking at that, but that's been paused, right? I am going to be taking the vaccine. So I just want to be very clear where I stand on the issue, right? I'm not saying you should stand any particular way. I'm just saying this is where I stand. I'm going to be taking the vaccine, okay? But so the AstraZeneca vaccine has been refused by Haiti and actually a few different countries for the simple fact that there's been cases of blood clots, very similar to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. There's been cases of blood clots and complications. And so they've Haiti has rejected it on that cause. But the thing is, the situation is that you can say you may be thinking, well, how come? And by the way, the World Health Organization, they're offering these vaccines for free, right? They're asking. Oh, by the way, Ronald Etienne watching while doing DoorDash. What's up, man? Hey. The other vaccines, Haiti doesn't necessarily have the infrastructure to be able to provide or at mass those vaccines, because those vaccines require things such as constant electricity, because those things have to be cold. I'm talking cold, right? And to be able to do it at scale, i.e., different vaccine points. And you may be thinking, well, Port-au-Prince, maybe they can figure something out for Port-au-Prince. Oh, they can probably figure something out for Cap Haitien. But do you really want? You have 12 million people in this country. Okay, already we have massive issues in these major cities with the few millions of people that are in these cities. Imagine if people actually were to come out of the provinces to be vaccinated, right? So what you really need is you need places in Saint Mark and Leogane. All right, I'm going to assume. Okay, sound should be back on there. Got a problem. All right. Usually we have a bug-free show here. We have a bug-free show here. I'm not sure what the next news has to do with the Constitution. Maybe it's the government shutting down the stream. The government doesn't want the truth to come out. So you guys will let me know how the quality is on. Uncle Ray saying no. I'm waiting to switch over to another line, certain option, which is Satellink. Where it's going to be coming back online here very soon here. So I can't wait for that third option for sure. Live coming back up, which is good. So let me know. I do see one person saying the sound's back, but the screen's frozen. But y'all let me know if I'm coming through. Constitutional, right? So the referendum has been pushed back to June 27th. The referendum has been pushed back to June 27th. The reason why it's been not enough folks had it. The UN in particular, Papa UN said, you know what, you guys, they don't feel there will be enough participation because of the lack of this. So, they advised heavily of the U.S. government, the U.S. Haitian government, to push it back, and the Haitian government only listens to two people, the UN, and so they pushed back. June 27th is the current date for the referendum on the Constitution, right? For those who recollect, I did provide English versions, English and Creole, or English versions of the Constitution last time we were on. And in fact, I will go ahead and try to find it here in my notes from last week or last month and reshare it. Let me go ahead and drop it here in the chat. For those watching on Instagram, you'll get that over here. I just haven't necessarily two articles that have been particularly troublesome for this current Constitution. To be, you can't be a dual citizen, right? But this Constitution goes further to say the language is written. Notice though is when one internet, what that provision says is any person who is as part of their function, and they cannot be questioned and ultimately be prosecuted for government officials, right? But now to remove, or at least get it removed, so problematic, right? So So that's I'm saying I'm good. I heard saying I'm good. Okay. You thought I was just some guy playing. Um, uh, the announcement is acting up. YouTube is acting up. And that's the most bizarre thing. Right? It might be a uniquely YouTube thing, right? That YouTube is acting up. So here's what I would do for guys who are trying to watch this on YouTube, despite YouTube acting up. I'm going to share the link for the live to YouTube, and folks who are on YouTube can go to the Facebook and see it working. Right? Because I can't explain why YouTube is acting all sensitive right now, but you can at least go to the Facebook, and Facebook people are telling me it's good on Facebook. So feel free and go over to the Facebook. You know, technology guys, technology guys. You know, best intentions. You know, technology will do what it wants to do. So thanks guys for your patience, and those who are still trying to watch. Thanks. I'm seeing people coming back and telling me YouTube is somewhat working again. So again, my apologies, guys. Technology will do what it wants to do when it wants to. Eligible Haitian living abroad can now register for a national ID card at a consular's office. And what you need to get it, it's free of charge. You have to be over 18 with a valid birth certificate. Residents must be able to provide proof of their residence within the jurisdiction of a particular consulate, right? I.e., if you're in Orlando, you have to show that you're Orlando resident or within the county, at least nearby in Orlando, for example, DC, wherever there's a consulate, you just have to provide evidence that you reside near that office, right? And then, of course, what they're saying is anyone born to at least one Haitian parent may be eligible. But the thing is, it doesn't, I guess, I don't know if anyone has tried on the stream to actually exercise that right? But you guys will have to let me know how that's went for you, because I can tell you one of the issues we've had generally in Haiti has been there has been provisions in place to prove or exercise the fact that, hey, I may be born in America, but my parents are Haitian. There hasn't been a way, because it should be as simple as to say, okay, hey, here's my birth certificate. It shows here's my mom and here's my dad. Right? If my mom is Madame Jean-Pierre Jeanty, and then my dad is, Jean-Claude Jeanty, right? Then it should be okay. That's their name, and then I show them my parents' birth certificate. That's Haitian. That's born in Port-au-Prince or born in Miagwan, whatever, and then put them together and say, look, this is my birth certificate. This is my mom's birth certificate in Haiti. I'm Haitian, right? And then it should be okay. It should be as simple as that. Green stamped. You get your card, and now you're Haitian and enjoy all the rights of being Haitian, right? And so, but that's never been the case. It's always been much more complicated, much more untransparent, right? Much more corrupt of a process, right? Than that, right? So I'm hearing Aldo is saying he's in Orlando, saying he's going to try it out. So Aldo, I'm holding your foot to the fire. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if it's a simple process, especially if you're a Haitian American born in Haiti. Sorry, born in America. If you're Haitian American born in America, let me know how that goes, because that's always been a very difficult situation. So next news story has to do with the level 4 advisory, and that's why it's such a good thing that you don't necessarily have to come to the country right now for political reasons, which can be pretty dicey if you're just coming in for a political reason, even if it's just to vote or get your SIM card. But this level 4 advisory What is it? It's the United States telling its citizens, hey, don't travel to Haiti. And level 4 advisory basically puts us on the same level as Syria and Afghanistan and actual places that are, in civil war right now. We're facing a very similar level of advisory. Now, is it unjust? I'm gonna say no, right? Because right now, I am seeing some of the most troubling bit of instability in Haiti sustained instability in Haiti that I've seen in the past 4 years I've been here. Again, guys, listen, you guys should know by now, I don't sugarcoat anything. This isn't the let's be naive about Haiti channel. Okay. I do show there is much more to Haiti than what's being broadcast. Okay. Let's be very clear. But, sometimes folks have approached me and been totally, SeeJeanty, yeah, man, it's totally unfair and unright what they're showing about Haiti. Wow. Some of the stuff, not some of the stuff, it's a good amount of the stuff is happening. Right. But it shouldn't define who we are. Right. Just like mass shootings don't define America. Okay. Just like, happens every other day. The violence that happens in the hoods and ghettos of America don't define America. It's, that violence and that stuff that's happening, that really is happening, should not also define what Haiti is. You see what I'm saying? So you see the big difference in the conversational point. We're talking like adults here. And adults don't just gloss over the difficulty that's happening in the country. And I get accused of that sometimes. So, you're trying to paint over troubles. Not at all. I'm trying to paint a full picture. You see the difference? I'm painting a full picture. You follow me? So that said, this is legitimately has been the most troubling time I've seen in Haiti, consistently sustained between kidnapping, between violence happening among gangs and spillover. What's happening with the cops. There were 4 cops that tried to, there was a raid in a gang-controlled territory, and 4 cops lost their lives. This happened relatively recently in Haiti, right? And protests have been a pretty ongoing thing, and really relatively peaceful protests, but still protests, not at the level of pays law, but certainly protests have been happening, every week. In fact, just 2 days ago, every business in the country closed as an act of solidarity against insecurity, for example. So protests were happening, at a regular clip. And so seeing this level 4 advisory, it's not unjust. It's not unjust, I can tell you. But, again, I can't say anything more without sounding as if I'm for a side or against of a side. But what I can say is that in these 4 years I've been here, if Haiti was this, I would have saw this 4 years ago. You see what I'm saying? Like if Haiti was this level of deterioration that's happened in this recent amount of time, as Jovenel has expired his patience amongst those in society, right? If this was the norm, then this would have happened much sooner, because the level of misery hasn't necessarily changed in Haiti. The lack of economic opportunity hasn't changed in Haiti, right? The education hasn't gotten worse in Haiti, right? All these factors, have been here, but why suddenly there is a total flood of guns, right, in the hands of gangs, right? Total flood. I mean, I'm talking like military grade weapons. Where are they getting? Haiti Dominican Republic has 2 or 3 or 4 manufacturing factories. Okay, meaning Dominican Republic, they make guns. Okay, so if we had 1 or 2 gun factories here in Haiti, you say, well, we make guns, and then a few of them are finding their way out the factory. We don't make guns in this country. They have to come in here. Okay, who's bringing them? Why haven't we seen a single arrest? Okay, of I don't know. I'm getting more and more involved in import export. Okay, when I'm exporting something, I have to put my name in my company, right? In terms of the source of origin, and then I have to, when I get over to the side, the American side, I have to say where is it going? You see what I'm saying? Like, where is it going? I have to share that, right? I have to share that. If we know that, why isn't there has been arrest? Not a single arrest that I am aware of that's happened. So that's one side. That's a failure on one side in terms of the issues of Haiti. But then the other side of the fact that since that's not happening, there just seems to be a green lighting and an encouragement from unknown factors in this society that's allowing this to happen. That is actually accelerating this, what we're seeing, kidnapping and the violence to levels that we haven't seen since Haiti, right? And it goes, and this is something I have to share, is that it worked for Haiti twice. Hey, we don't like a guy? Let's ramp up the kidnapping. Let's ramp up the violence. Let's ramp up the grotesque actions amongst our own society. So then the people outside can say, wait, what's going on here? Or Ice, you got to go, buddy. Not seeing that there's other people driving it. Now, it worked before. Now that Jovenel is not liked by certain segments of the, powers that be, we see now that he's getting the same Ice-T treatment. We're seeing kidnapping. We're seeing ridiculous violence. We're seeing grotesque actions happening throughout the society. It worked before. Let's do it again, right? And the irony is, if we give into the same thing that happened to ICE did, all we're doing is we're setting up the same thing to happen again. Every single time there is a president or leader that is doing things that certain actors in this society don't necessarily want to happen, or they're not getting a cut of it, right? Just funny how it goes 0 to 60 real quick. It's real interesting to me how 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, there was no gangs like at this level. There were little in-gang fighting, okay, cool, but nothing like this. But then suddenly, towards the end of Jovenel's term, where they're really trying to get him out, suddenly we're just inundated with guns and gangs and kidnapping. I just find that interesting, right? And anyone who's been following Haiti long enough finds that interesting. I know I'm in dangerous territory here, territory I didn't necessarily want to get into, right? Very opinionated perspective, but it's an opinionated perspective based on object fact. I'm just making an observation. Guys, right? And I just feel bad for so many in the diaspora who are being manipulated into causing the same instability that they critique, right? Let me say this one thing, I'll move on. Let me not say this. Let me not say this. People are going to really, really say I'm one-sided. So let me not say this. But I won't say what I really want to say, but I will say this. At some point, we as Haitians have to decide, what is terrorism? Okay? At some point, we in Haiti have to decide, what is terrorism? Because when you have actors doing things indiscriminately, not caring who they're affecting, children, women, people of no income, right? You have people just being kidnapped off the street who are just madame serras, who are street merchants, being kidnapped. okay, and asking for sums of money of millions of dollars. This obviously isn't a kidnapper. This obviously isn't someone trying to kidnap money. This is obviously a terrorist, right? And not just the person doing the act, but the person telling that person to do the act. That person giving that person the money to do the act is a terrorist, right? Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, who is it? Now, a lot of people are saying, is Jovenel doing it? So they're saying, no, it's the big bourgeoisie families doing it. We need to find out who's doing it, right? And we need to understand it's being done for political reason, right? And once we understand who's doing it, and we have real facts behind who's doing it, we call that group a terrorist group, and they get the full wrath of law, of the international community, of however you want to describe it. But we can't be in a situation where we're seeing acts and we're just wildly, without proof, saying, listen, it just doesn't make sense to me why a sitting president would kidnap people, right? And drive that sort of action to destabilize what they're trying to do. Let's just think about that for a second, right? But yet I hear it's Jovenel doing everything. Everything that's negative and bad is Jovenel. A lot of bad may be Jovenel, right? But it doesn't, if we follow like lemmings what we're being told to follow like lemmings, we will get the outcome which doesn't help us, which is another round of instability, another round of our transition, another round of occupation by the UN. At some point, we really have to take a step back, ask ourselves, if something's happening, why is it happening? Does it make sense that we're saying it's this group or this group? And call a terrorist group. Okay. All right. So I've said a lot. I've pissed a lot of people off. I'm sure of it. But I'm just here on the ground, guys. I'm just seeing how things are developing. And it's heartbreaking because it's, Haitians are being affected in real life, in real time. And it's not right. And we just have to make sure that we aren't adding to the instability by being played like a fiddle, right? That, it can't be every single time I don't like a president, I'm going to pay. Because again, this folks follow. Kidnapping was a big thing around ICE. Violence and gangs was a big thing around ICE. When are we going to realize that when a group of people don't like a president, they pay for things like this to happen, right? And when is that group of people not, actually called terrorists, right? Anyhow, so let's move on. I made a lot of people mad. I got a lot of unsubscribers. People just unsubscribe. This guy's full of shit. Unsubscribe. So listen, I'm just sharing objective as objectively as I can what we're seing. And honestly, I was never part of that camp of this guy's talking about people are paying other people to do stuff. This guy's full. I mean, go back. I'm sure you guys can find videos of me saying this. Come on, guys. You know what you guys are talking about. You guys are. Come on now. Come on. Let's be adults. Come on. Who's doing this? Who's paying? Come on. But living here long enough and seeing what I've seen firsthand from some people, right? It's an objective fact that 80-90% of the crap you're seeing that are obviously politically motivated are indeed paid for by a certain group of people. All right. Anyways, let's move on. I made a lot of people mad. Let's move on. Ports, as part of as part of the effort against insecurity, New regulations have been put in place. A lot of people. So I've seen some comments in here. Some folks are agreeing, other folks aren't agreeing. Again, I didn't mean to stir the pot. I don't want to sound like a party official. I'm just letting you know what I'm seeing. And I wish that didn't make me party sided, or I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, guys. At some point, a person should be able to tell you what they're seeing, and not say, "Oh, this guy's PhDK," or this guy's Lavalas. Can I just be a guy telling you what I'm seeing? Can I be a guy just telling you what's happening, and now I'm not part of a party? Can I be just taken on face value? My only objective, guys, is a better Haiti. Period. That's my only priority, is a better Haiti. And I don't care who gives it to me. If it's Lavalas, if it's PhDK, if it's what was Ignite, Preval's party, right? Maybe it's a new party. I just want a better Haiti. Okay, that's all I want. Okay, so make me all parties. Make me no parties. I'm the party for a better Haiti. A Haiti that works for the Madame Sega, that works for the diaspora coming in to invest and live, that works even for the businessman, the multi-generational businessman, so he can grow and provide more jobs. I'm even for the Lebanese and Syrians. I want them to win too, because they own a lot of different stuff here. They grow. I look around. Yeah, it might be one Syrian in there, but there's 20 Haitians. That's a 1 to 20 job ratio. Okay. I want Haiti to work for everyone, even the blondes who come in, who look to invest. Because when the bloods come in, they invest, they're successful, they provide jobs, they grow the economy. I want Haiti to work for everyone, not for a group of people, for everyone, right? That's all I'm in it for. That's why I do this. That's why I spend 3 hours on a Sunday, okay, talking to you guys, to give you guys the news, whoever you are, whoever's watching, so you guys can do the right thing for Haiti, okay? That's why I do this. So please, do not ascribe me to any political party. I am not for Jovenel. I am not against Jovenel. I am for Haiti. Okay? Let's be clear. I just want to be on record. All right, guys? Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Okay? All right. Moving on, the ports. New provisions to fight against illegal entry of firearms. The first provision has to do with, prohibits the custom clearance of the personal effects in ports other than the Port-au-Prince and Cap Haitien, meaning if you're bringing stuff, personal effects, they have to come through Port-au-Prince and Cap Haitien. The other bit of news has to do, says that requires custom stores and warehouses to unload containers of personal effects and inspect and verify 100% before you get, oh, this guy is for this guy, it's that guy, 100%, right? Has to be reviewed and verified, right? Number 3, shipping agents and operators that the importation of vehicles, cars, trucks, right, are strictly not allowed to have things in them. Because for a long time, right, for a long time, you can put stuff in your cars. They'll look through the window, say, hey, what's in there, and then they let it go. Believe it or not, that's seriously how it worked for a very long time. I'm not kidding. Like you would load your stuff with stuff. And then you look in, and then they'll just look in, and okay, well, looks okay. All right, let it go. And so that's stopping. You can't have stuff in your car. You can only ship the car, right? Anything that's in the car is going to be taken out. It's going to be audited, right? And that's the way it should be. That's sensical. Right? And of course, the packages of personal effects will be audited in the presence of a visiting inspector, and not an inspector who is from there, a visiting inspector, a supervisor, and a co-signee are the customs broker who's bringing it over, right? And so these are very sensible things that certainly I think a lot of people will find agreeable. Now the problem is, the fundamental question I would ask is, okay, so how many guns were really coming through cars? I don't know. Now, there was recently 2 brothers that were arrested, maybe 3-4 years ago, and this is Haitian American brothers out of Orlando, right? And they were literally arrested because they try to do that. They put guns in a car and try to ship it to Haiti, And of course, they got found out and they got arrested, which is what I would expect every single time this happens. They should be, every time there's a gun, a gun cache found, there should be an arrest, right? There should be an arrest every single time. I don't understand how you have to fill out who you are and where you're coming from. It doesn't make any sense to me. But in any case, they're arrested, and they were trying to do it just in this way, right? Where they were trying to hide their guns in the car that they shipped over, right? Now, again, how prevalent that is, I don't know. I don't know, right? But that's certainly potentially one avenue. And some folks are saying, well, we've seen a decrease in guns and stuff. I don't know that. I'm still waiting. I think just early April, there was a massive raid by gangs in Bel Air, and 14 people perished in this gang fight, and a lot of them were just not gang members. They were people living in Bel Air that perished, and this was a sustained campaign of violence that happened over a week. Sustained. I'm talking just bullets flying for a week, and then to me that doesn't seem to be a decrease in guns. That seems to me as if these guys have the military power to fight any army in the world if you're able to do a sustained campaign for a week of guns. You see what I'm saying? And so I don't know. Folks are saying they're seeing a reflect of that. I don't know. We'll see. I guess I'll see it for another month. We'll see if the degree of gang violence goes down any bit. But I'm not holding my breath. You see. But anyways, we'll see. And that's news as relates to the ports, right? That's news as relates to the ports. Now, in other news, on the 13th, just last week, President Moise inaugurated a new building in the customs of the airport. The construction of the building was a World Bank project to the tune of $3 million. $3 million, right? And this building is going to help with a lot of processing that was going on at the airport, right? And we're certainly looking forward to. I certainly look forward to seeing it. I didn't even realize that there was a new building being built. But that is supposed to help with a bit of the good processing or customs processing of goods. And the hope here, through better technology, there will be a lot less corruption as relates to contraband and some products slipping through. Which just have better control and a much easier standardization as well of taxing these items as well, right? So, so that's a bit of news as relates to the customs, right? We have Daily saying some things. Listen, I don't, let me just move on. But I don't. Let's just say I don't disagree with what Dell is saying. To when I say the government, when she says the government, that it isn't necessarily juvenile. Right? There's parliamentarians. I've been told stories where senators and deputies have shown up, to pick up boxes, heavy boxes that never get reviewed, and they take it home, right? And that's as much as I'll say about that, right? That's as much as I'll say about that. So exchange rate. We have recently $165 million over the past 3 months by the central bank, where they've injected $165 million into the foreign exchange market to help keep good from spiraling. Officially, the exchange rate is around 83 to 82 good per dollar. Officially, that's if you were to go to the banks, right? But I can tell you right now, when I exchange my dollars, I don't do it at a bank. God forbid. I do it at local convenience stores all around the city, and you can get as much as 10 more good per dollar. So if it's trading at $80 at the 80 good at the bank, you go to any convenience store and they'll give you 90 for it, meaning the market is evaluating the value of the dollar to be much more, right? And the good to be much less, right, than what the central bank and banks are trading it at, right? And the thing is, it would be much worse if the central bank wasn't constantly injecting dollars in the economy to depreciate the dollar and then allow the good to appreciate, relatively speaking. Of course, this can't last. Last time we spoke, of course, the reserves of the Haitian central bank is the lowest it's been in almost 2 decades. They're reaching the limit allowed by the IMF, because any central bank authority has to keep around 10 or 20% of its expected. If I remember right, either it's what you're importing per year, and the imports are somewhere around 3 to 4 billion a year for the Haitian economy, right? And they're dangerously low, dangerously at that precipice of what they should have for regulatory standards. And so the dam is about to break here, guys. I wouldn't give it till June or July. Put it like this, guys. If you guys are storing anything in good, you better take that sucker out and put it in dollars, right? Because it is not going to be good in a second. That rubber band has been pushed back for so long. When that puppy pops, it might pop you in the eye. So don't be the hot potato. Don't be the guy holding dollars. Holding good when that thing depreciates to 200 for $1. Okay, don't be that guy. You were warned. It's going to happen for the end of this year. Believe me, you were warned. Okay. Now, as it relates to the banking system, right? Oh, let me move past this story. Let me look past. This is tiny. No, I'm not going to talk about that story. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that story. So moving on to the other local business and development, right? Make a little note about this and modify for later. That's a story I'm going to share with you guys next. I'm still following that story. I can't talk about that story just yet. So the FNE has done something that's really for the National Educational Fund, right? This is, by the way, the fund that was created when the Haitian government was decided to tax $1.50. Haiti Uncut, I did talk about the constitutional referendum. I kept it very brief. I said basically June 27th is when it's happening, and I gave some reasons about why that is, right, and also some very troubling things that were in the Constitution. So this live stream is recorded on YouTube and Facebook. So once the stream is over, feel free, jump to about the 30th or 35th minute, and you'll be able to hear about it. Now, there were some issues with the quality of the stream at the time, so I'm not sure how much is going to be clear, but jump to there after the stream, and you'll hear that piece. All right, thank you, appreciate it, brother. So the National Education Fund was a fund created by the $1.50 tax on the diaspora, right? So that fund has done some important things as relates to disability, preparing or working with folks with disabilities, and particularly the blind. They've established a special coordinator and are working with the Haitian Society of Aid for the Blind to do things as it relates to helping those who are blind. For example, covering specifically the tuition fees for pupils of special needs, right? Supported production of books that will help blind pupils. So basically, books with Braille on it, so they could work on reading, right? And help also with some rehabbing of some buildings for those with disabilities, right? The total amount, of course, I don't. It's about. Okay, no, that's just the amount that's being taxed. And just as a reminder, somewhere around 3 million. So okay, so I'll put that value. I'm gonna copy and paste that value because I want you guys to see this. I want to put that. I'm putting that volume, that value in there. So the amount collected the past year, because that's the big point. That's so important that I actually, share that with you guys. 3,277,180 good is what was estimated to be collected within the past year by the National Fund. Right. It's a big figure because one of the big things folks ask is, "What's my $1.50? What's my $1.50 doing? How much been raised?" Right now, this is a self-reported value, right, from the National Education Fund. So we don't, so take it for what it's worth, but that's a decent amount of money. 3 million. That's equal to, if we're going to actually put it at the rate of which the banks are officially trading at it, which is 83 good. That's about $40,000. Right now, that feels a little light, given that the diaspora sent back around $3 billion last year. So 40,000 seems a little light. But someone have to do the math on 3 billion times 1.5. You guys let me know how much that is, right? It seems a little light, but nonetheless, that is what the National Education Fund is reporting. Now, Digicel has inaugurated 3 new schools. They've reported. The 3 schools are La Roche Community School in the Central Department, the United Brothers College of Ravine Sab in the South Department, and the Presbyterian School of Poitiers in Department of Matibonite. 3 new schools that the Digicel Foundation has built in those communities, which is great. Always great to hear more schools are available. And thus far, since the Digicel Foundation has started around 10 years ago, they've built around 185 schools, which is phenomenal, right? For Haiti, right? Always a pleasure to report on that. Now, in other news, Barbancourt has announced a collaboration with HELP, a program of university scholarships. It's really the 25th year that they've been a part of these sort of efforts of providing university scholarships to young Haitian adults. They've announced officially a 5-year partnership from 2021 to 2026 to support HELP scholarships. And this is going to be a substantial boost for HELP in what they're doing and their mission. Right? So good stuff and good to hear on that front. Additionally, the 11th Annual Financial Summit, which occurred last week. Not only, of course, I don't necessarily report on these sort of summits because of my views of, how much really comes out of these summits. I mean, the networking is fine. I do recommend anyone trying to come to Haiti and meet very productive people to attend these sort of summits, right? They're great for networking, but in terms of actually real output, it's very hard to track, what comes out of these things, what actually happens, and how they were directly associated with a summit or a conference, which is why I generally don't report on. But something that was important was that this summit did select 3 entrepreneurs and provided sizable funding for what they may be asking. I want to go through some of the names here. Duckins Bonley has a business called Widuma Agribusiness, which is basically a firm that works with farmers and provides good quality agricultural machinery, inputs, and seeds on a plot of land that they have an associative relationship with the farmers, right? And they were looking for funding to do things such as improve the production of certain maize, right? And then produce that maize and provide that to schools across their region. And so they were seeking funding and won funding for that venture. Yuslin Vidal, artistic director and founder of Paye Design. This is someone I've actually met very briefly. Seems to be a very smart and capable young woman. Actually won funding for a venture that's going to allow her to directly hire a group of artisans and create things, furnishings, effects for the diaspora, tourists, and even local Haitians. I mean, you don't even need a massive salary. I mean, any Haitian making as much as $200 a month would be within their demographic of people natively who could buy their work, right? So she did get funding for the facility and other startup equipment. So good for her. And then Maxime Pierre, who owns IT Grind, was able to get funding for a venture that related to transforming guillemot, which is a type of squash, and into a powder. And then that powder is supposed to be sold to other restaurants and different places that could add that as an additive, right? And so got funding to help with that production rollout. So that's one of the stories I always love to hear, because it's one thing, you're so heavy about, schools and training, but at the end of the day, what Haiti lacks more than anything, is capital, right? Into the hands of real entrepreneurs. And so that's a great initiative and a great bit of news to report that we have 3 entrepreneurs who are going to get a bit of funding for ventures that can really be game changers for the particular industry. So hats off to those 3 people. The BRH has announced $100 million for cooperatives within the economy. Cooperatives, there's different degrees of cooperatives for different types of ventures. One common one, though most common is agriculture, but there's other cooperatives, particularly as relates to street merchants, that also exist in the country, and the central bank is putting to this position funding for cooperatives with the goal of allowing these groups to have improved access to financial products and services. So that's great. That's great to see, great to hear, right? Okay. So the Dominican Republic, there's one bit of news on the Dominican Republic we do want to talk about, right? We do want to talk about that the Dominican Republic is in the process of creating very large custom offices along the border. Now, this accompanies the news I reported last year, and I usually report last month, and news I usually report monthly about the amount of walls and military enforcement that the Dominicans are putting on the border. Now they're announced officially that they're going to also, because the thought is, since they're going to cut off the contraband movement, they're going to force more people to come through the proper points of entry and exit for goods into the country. So it only makes sense that they would need to then expand the capacity of these places to review more goods, right? And so they have announced that they are going to invest heavily in expanding the capacity of their custom offices to be able to handle additional volume, right? So that's good news, because again, I always say one of the biggest things affecting the Haitian economy is the amount of goods that are coming from the Dominican Republic untaxed, right? And it's a problem, it's an issue, right? And the other direction too, there's a lot of agricultural goods that can go to the Dominican Republic without being credited to our economy rather than the Dominican economy, right? And that's a big deal to our GDP and our factors. So it's really good to honestly go ahead, Dominican Republic, build those walls, build those custom houses, because if anything, they're gonna help us more than it helps you. But hey, don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. Let them build the wall and build the customs. It's only gonna help our economy. Next up has to do with Taiwan. Taiwan has built a school in Guatemala for $16 million. Massive school that's going to have things such as several laboratories, a library, dormitory, for teachers and students, a football and soccer field, right? Football field, natural grass, a running track, an Olympic swimming pool, okay? Olympic swimming pool on 85,000 square feet. Square meters, on 85,000 square meter property in Puerto Marron, which is phenomenal, right? It's fantastic to be getting that sort of investment. You know, the goal, hopefully, though, is maintenance. You know, that's the one thing I hope they figure out. It's one thing to build this out, but Haiti is notorious in terms of getting pretty stuff, and then 5 years later, it's unusable. They don't put a single penny in making things work. Right? Something stops working, it just stops working, and they move on. Right. So hopefully, the conversation really becomes, okay, how do they maintain this and have an infrastructure of maintenance? Right. Next up has to do with Japan. Two new projects being funded by Japan. Right. The total of these projects are going to total 321,000. Right. And the first project being a modern sugar cane mill to the tune of 142,000. Right. And that's submitted by the Communauté Familiale Paysan Organisation, right, looking to strengthen sugarcane production, right, through the construction of a sugarcane processing equipment, mills, and vats, right. And so we'll certainly keep an eye on that and see if that comes to fruition. I don't like necessarily talking about things that are coming. I like to talk about things that have come, right. So we'll certainly provide more detail to that when it's announced. The second project, the Lacune Community School Construction Project, is a $174,000 project that's going to be working. That's going to provide a training center for children in need in order to facilitate their access to education and better learning conditions for those types of schools. And the project is supposed to be able to handle 350 children and 6 teachers. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that aspect of things. Right? You have a new head officer of the World Bank, a Frenchman, French Laurent Mestillet. It has been assigned, and since the 1st of April, he's at that head role. Miss Lati, that's 6 times fast. Miss Lati, his role is to guide the commitment of the World Bank, of course, and handle basically the massive book of business. I mean, right now in Haiti alone, they have somewhere around $915 million worth of projects under management in the country, right? So that needs a steady hand, and it may surprise a lot of people when I tell them, wait, the World Bank has what? 915 million, what? of projects they're working on in the country. Wait a minute, what? Yes, that is true. Right? A little bit of background of Messillet. He's been part of the World Bank since 1991. He's been part of the World Bank. Holds a doctorate in veterinary medicine, actually, and also a business school degree, business administration, finance, and economics degree from the Luigi Bocciani Business School in Italy, right? And really has a basis, as you can imagine, in more of an agricultural economic perspective, which might be great. For a country like Haiti. In fact, his more recent role was as a director of global agricultural practice for Latin America and the Caribbean region. Right? So we'll see how this new head director for the World Bank does for Haiti, and certainly we'll hope that they continue to invest in projects that can make a difference to Haiti's domestic production. Right? Because certainly the Haitian government isn't doing nowhere as near as much as they should, which is a problem. Right? Agriculture, let's keep moving. Rome Barbancourt is officially listed in the Registry of Haitian Cultural Heritage, in the Registry of Haitian Cultural Heritage, right? Which is symbolic, but certainly an important symbol. The technique of traditional production of barbecue is officially listed in the Haitian Registrar of Cultural Heritage, which is we need to do these sort of things. It's important to recognize things of this sort because every other country does, and though it may not necessarily mean much to the actual economic picture, but recognition is an important first step into actually supporting who we are and what we are, and putting real money behind it, and putting real protections behind it. Right? So let's hope this first step is accompanied by other steps. Right? Haiti has also submitted the nomination of SeeJeanty to the intangible cultural heritage of humanity, which is a pseudo, I don't say competition, but it's an international thing that's happening that each country is supposed to submit something of value of their culture. And SeeJeanty has gotten that designation for our country. So that's great. And I was just on the vein of giving recognition to what is due for our culture. And SeeJeanty is, remember, that's the soup, that's the national soup of Haiti. You know, 1st of July, or 4th of July, 1st of January, right? 1st of January, our Independence Day, what do we consume? Our SeeJeanty to celebrate our independence, right? So that is a part of the UNESCO. It's a UNESCO convention that's happening. So that is going to be a part of what Haiti provides to, that event, which is great, right? So the next story I do want to talk about has to do with the agricultural revolution in greenhouses. The Minister of Agriculture has been pushing aggressively a greenhouse agricultural production in a new program, right? And it's now they're now looking to sort of escalate that by allowing encouraging the export of greenhouse goods, for example, greenhouse peppers, to the world. And that's a goal to help farmers optimize their income and optimize the output of the land that they have, right? And so that is a great bit of news, and certainly moves us in the right direction. Certainly, if you can be supporting larger numbers. 15 million euros are going to the revival of the coffee sector. 15 million euros are going to the revival of the agricultural sector, right? Being led by the Minister of Agriculture, in addition to the French Development Agency, right? Working in different areas, different known coffee areas in Haiti, one of them being Chot down in the southeast department, and the other being in Dondon in the northeast department of Haiti. And a lot of that's going to go to supporting, y'all leave me alone, my 1st of July comment, y'all leave me alone. I'm at the 1st of January, you gotta know it. Support of agroforestry based on coffee trees, support of diversification around that area to help solidify the soil resiliency, right? And the creation of institutions that can really help with the development of coffee nationally, right? So good bit of news, and the sort of news that we like to hear about, right? Digital currency, let's keep it moving. For those who don't know, Haiti has its own digital currency, Bitcoin, right? That's right, Bitcoin. Not to be confused with Bitcoin, we have Bitcoin now in Haiti, right? It's the official digital currency of the Bank of Haiti, which revealed it relatively recently, right? And those who were a part of its development, Honoré Loudez and Jimmy Jean, were both awarded for the development of it 250,000 good for them, 250,000 good within the for this development, right? And the goal here is to help have digital currency, right? The goal here is to have digital currency to help be a driver for the Haitian economy. All the ways that folks, and all the way folks who have been advocating blockchain have talked about. They talked about, hey, how do blockchain can help so much. And listen, looking at the theory of blockchain, I agree. Blockchain can do some incredible things in Haiti, in terms of helping, a very dicey subject, which is real estate transactions happen in the country, but also transfers. Transfers could happen much easily, almost fearlessly, if Haitian government did allow banks to fully integrate with the blockchain and with the digital currencies that exist. And so this is an important first step in that direction. Haiti still has a long ways to go to having adoption of digital currencies happen in the way that's advertised. But certainly a very first step. Now, a lot of folks are asking, where can I get it? and I looked into it for you guys, and I haven't seen how I can get it, how we can get it. Okay, it's been announced. The central bank says it's going to be out officially, but it's not clear how exactly someone can purchase Bitcoin exactly. Right, so we'll keep an eye on it. And once I get the news in terms of how we can actually purchase it, I will certainly let you know and share that with you, because I know what the promise of digital currencies can be. I see where the good is going. The good is going in a direction that's going to be very problematic in a couple months. And that's just me, speaking very politely about where the good is going. And so this might be a very important alternative when that happens, right? So we'll certainly keep an eye on that and provide more news to you as it happens, right? Finally, we're in the sports section of the show. Sports, the big news really has to do with the fact that Haiti did qualify for the World Cup. I'm sorry, the pre-selection of the World Cup. And they're playing a series of games to officially qualify, right? And of course, the World Cup, that's going to be in Qatar, 2022. And the first important game that they played was Belize. And it was played at home at the Serio Carter Stadium. And Haiti won. Haiti won 2-0. Yes, the Grenadiers won 2-0. Ricardo Ade and then Steven Seance scored those 2 goals, and we'll of course keep an eye on how things go, because of course we're rooting for Haiti. What happened during the Gold Cup when Haiti beat Canada and beat a lot of other big teams, the joy that happened not only in country but out of country. I think that's what Haiti desperately needs. Haitians desperately need. We need something that can really bring us together, really allow us to supersede our fundamental ideas about politics and what always seems to be driving us apart, and if we could string some wins together again, and I can see that level of joy and cohabitation amongst Haitians, I think we need that desperately, especially in times like this. And so my fingers are crossed. Jean-Jacques, the coach, Jean-Jacques, or certainly Pierre Jean-Jacques, the new coach, certainly I was a bit skeptical that because he hasn't, to my understanding, he hasn't coached anywhere. I hope anyone who knows where he's coached before, feel free and correct me. But I read his bio last month. I didn't see anything that spoke to his coaching. So the fact that he won against Belize, I guess that's me eating my words. And I'd love to be proven wrong. Let me tell you, something like this, I would love to be proven wrong. I'd be more than happy to be proven wrong. So let's keep going, Coach Jean-Jacques, and let's win some more games, because Haiti needs it. Haiti needs it, right? So that wraps up the news. So let's run through what we talked about. Now, I'll spend a little more time at the beginning. I know we had some technical issues at the beginning, and some people may have missed some things. So the first 2 news stories, I'll linger just a little bit longer than I usually do in this wrap up, just to kind of let folks, catch up. Because again, the feedback, I saw some folks did leave the stream, came back later. So quick wrap up. COVID, Haiti has declined the AstraZeneca vaccine because of the health risks that are associated with it. It's the lowest grade vaccine, has some of the lowest percentages of protection as well, and Haiti has declined it. The thing is, that was a free vaccine being provided by the World Health Organization. So if Haiti is to provide vaccines, they will have to pay for it. And additionally, you may be thinking, well, why don't they just use the Pfizer vaccine? He doesn't necessarily have the infrastructure for the Pfizer vaccine because it needs lots of electricity. And imagine, and you need to be able to disperse this to very remote areas in Haiti that certainly don't have electricity. And so currently Haiti just cannot provide the better grade vaccines to its population, and has decided to decline the AstraZeneca vaccine, rightly or wrongly, right? The Constitution, we did talk about, we did say the referendum is June 27th, and it's been pushed back primarily to allow more folks to register, get their Demerlog card to participate, right? So we talked about that. The UN still formally backing the constitutional referendum, though they have started to call for the requirement for inclusion for different parties, even though no one wants to talk to Jovenel. So good luck with that. So that's kind of seems to be a bit funny of a request. Either you back it, either you're for it or you're not for it. Don't ask for things that aren't going to happen in terms of, well, we'll let you do the referendum if you get inclusion from people. Well, that's the whole point of this. It's not been an inclusive process. Anyhow, this is just a wrap up. I'm not really giving the news. Elections, of course. News about the diaspora voting. Aldo Victor promised me that he's going to test out his capacity to vote as someone who's a Haitian American. I'm born in America. Apparently, you are supposed to be able to receive your voter's card at your local consulate wherever you are. So if you're in New York, if you're in Orlando, if you're in South Florida, or South Florida is it a consulate or embassy? I think it's a consulate. As a consulate, Chicago, Montreal. So I challenge any Haitians here, to go to your consulate and especially if you're born in that country. If you're born in Canada, if you're born in America, and your parents are Haitian, I challenge you, because all you should be able to do is, as long as you're over 18, and you can provide a valid birth certificate, you should be able to vote. I.e., it should be as simple as showing your parents' birth certificate. So you should have your parents' birth certificate and your own birth certificate, and saying, hey, this is my parents on my birth certificate. Here's their birth certificate. You can see they're born in Haiti. Give me my card, right? So y'all let me know if that's the way it works, because that's the way it's supposed to work. It's never worked like that, right? So y'all let me know. I look forward to reporting what you guys tell me next time we're on air, right? Level 4 advisory. We talked about that. Level 4 advisory. We talked about because of the escalated insecurity that's happening. One thing I didn't talk about though was Expedia. Well, most importantly, we are still. Then yeah, Aldo, you're out of luck. Then you're out of luck. The alternative for them is to they would have to go to Haiti, go to the National Archives, grab their extrait d'archives, which basically is a piece of paper that says, hey, this person was born here, they exist to us, and here's what we know about them, right? And then with that in hand, it's the equivalent of a birth certificate, right? So that's your answer, right? They would have to travel. Parents would have to travel, and it's free, by the way. First off, it's free. I've heard it's a relatively corruptless process. It's not, there's no shady people there. You just go, give them your name. They do some research. In about a week or less, they call you to come pick it up. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. I didn't mention this last time I talked about level 4 advisory, which Expedia is still, Haiti's still on Expedia, which has been the very big pain point for when this happens, when Haiti's in level 4 advisory. We're not on Expedia, and it's a headache for a lot of our tourism sector that depends on it. Heck, I depend on it because I book through a platform that uses Expedia's booking search plugin to book. And so when Haiti's not on there, like it basically it's like an unofficial American boycott of Haiti. It's like a not a boycott. There's a better term for that. Embargo, yeah, it's like a travel embargo. Honestly, when it went on Expedia. So, so that's the news. Ports. We did talk about the ports. There was new regulations around what can be imported into Haiti, and the big thing to know from that story was the fact that your cars have to go to Port-au-Prince and OCOP, and then personal effects also have to go to OCOP. And there's much more stringent regulation and consistency in auditing what's being brought through the country, right? Which is important to help stymie the violence and hopefully reduce the level of advisory back to level 3 and lower levels, right? New customs was built at the Port-au-Prince airport to help process products that are flown into the country. Exchange rate. The exchange rate has gone down slightly, but only because of the $165 million being dumped into it by the central bank to keep the dollar down, right? And of course, the budget. Didn't talk about the budget, but the budget's doing terrible. There's certainly very, very near the budget threshold of 37 billion. I mean, last checked, February 28th, they were already at $30 billion deficit. And the central bank has promised and said they're only providing 37 billion in deficit funding. So that's going to be achieved very quickly. So we're going to see what happens next, and we're going to see it's going to have a real impact on the exchange rate very soon, right? Next news story has to do with the local business development, wrap up. At least the wrap up has to do with that segment of local business aid. The FNE, the National Education Fund, did go and say they were focused on providing special needs help, in particularly the blind. They came out with a figure and said that, hey, they raised last year 3,277,000 good, which is the equivalent of roughly $40,000. Seems a little light, I expressed, but hey, the government wouldn't lie. The government wouldn't lie about how much money they. Oh, somebody got a chuckle out of that. Digital Foundation has inaugurated 3 new schools: La Roche Community School, the United Brothers of College of Ravine Sab, and the Presbyterian School of Poitiers. The Digital Foundation has announced they have built those schools, which is great. It was great news to hear our educational capacity being increased and improved. Barbara Crew has undertaking the is working with Help the Haitian Education and Leadership Program to provide scholarships to university students for the next 5 years. All right, which is great news. Right. We did talk about the competition winners for the 11th annual financial summit, which occurred, and 11 entrepreneurs did get support for their businesses, which is great. I've talked about the $100 million for cooperative that the central bank's putting available for cooperatives in the country. Talk about the Dominican Republic investing in very large custom offices for our land borders, for the land borders that we share with them. Right. Talk about the international aid and the fact that there are Taiwan, for example, is donating $16 million to Puerto Marron, which is great. That was going to go to Puerto Marron School to establish a school that's going to have several laboratories, library, dormitories, football field, a running track, Olympic swimming pool. It was great news. The Japan new project is funding 2 major projects. One is going to help build a sugarcane in Haiti, and then the other is going to help with a community school that's going to help effectively orphans, right? So we'll keep an eye on those news. It hasn't necessarily been announced where they're going to be yet, but we're certainly keep an eye that news. That's sort of news that can be impactful and really drive a improvement in the conditions economically for many, but also provide um, development for those areas wherever that ultimately may be set. So we're going to keep an eye on that, right? The next news story has to do with the new head of the World Bank in Haiti, a fellow by the name of Laurent Messalati, right? He started April 1st, and he's going to be helping manage the 915 million book of business that's happening in the country. Rum Barbancourt, officially listed within the Registry of Haitian Cultural Heritage, right, officially listed, right? Haiti also has submitted the Subjumo to be part of the Cultural Heritage of Humanity, a UNESCO project. Right, we talked about that. The greenhouses, there's been a bigger push in greenhouse development by the Minister of Agriculture. $15 million has been divided by the French Development Agency to the Minister of Agriculture to help develop coffee production in the country, with specific emphasis in Tiote in the southeast and Dodon in the north. Digital currency, we did talk about Bitcoba coming out. And of course, we're not knowing where you can buy it yet, but certainly we'll share it when that information comes through. And then finally, sports. The Grenadiers beat Belize 2-0, and that are moving forward in the pre-qualifications prelims for the Qatar World Cup in 2022. So great news and great stuff to hear, right? So we've at 2 hours in. I do want to probably take 15 minutes just to chat with you guys. I want to chat with you guys for 15 minutes, hard 15 minutes. But before I do want to stretch the legs a little bit. We just did a marathon, 2 hours going through the news, right? And so let me run the intermission for just a minute. Clean my, reset, get the energy back up. We'll be back, and in 15 minutes, I'm talking to you guys. All right, be right back. All right, boom, we're back. 15 minutes is on the clock. It's on. Let's read some comments, all right? So let whatever questions you may have, whatever is your chance, those who are in my DMs on the daily, asking different questions, not realizing I'm a very busy business person with several businesses, and I don't just sit around the DM waiting to chat with people I don't know. Okay, here's your chance to talk, and then let's get that conversation going, right? And by the way, even though it's a short 15 minutes, those who want to continue this conversation, you have two different ways to do it. Don't forget, you can join the action group, which is a space I created dedicated to folks, to allow folks to, just chat, network with themselves, continue the conversation about what's happening in Haiti, but doing it in the most, progressive way in terms of not just here's bad news, but, here's news that, we can act on, can inspire us to do better. And of course, don't forget, there is the private WhatsApp group. I'm in it. We do private live sessions, every 2 weeks or so, or for an hour. I might even start pushing it to 2 hours, where we just chat. What we're about to do right now, we chat. But it's not even just me just reading chats. It's literally you will be on the Zoom talking to not only me but real business people. This age, this millennial age. Oh, some of them are older too. That's fine. Doing and engaging and not listen. Listen to their they're doing and finding success, and you being in a community with other people. So do join that. There is a fee, of course, for the WhatsApp group, anyways. But remember, that fee goes to helping support what we're doing here in Haiti. If you like the video, if you like what you do, what we're doing here, every single penny goes to the staff, equipment. I don't pocket none of it. I don't grab 20 and buy a burger. No, it's 100% goes to the media entity. And you get some great benefits. There's a lawyer in that WhatsApp group as well. That also provides some insights. Giovanna Menard, fantastic lawyer, 25 years. That's in there as well. And so just keep that in mind. We do have a wealth of resources available. So even though this conversation is going to be short, if you like what we got going on here, if you like what you're learning, be part of the group. Join the WhatsApp group. We'd love to have you. We have 30 plus people in there. Awesome folks, smart folks who are really there to support each other. Come on in. We'd love to have you. Come on in. I feel like the pastor at the end of at the end of the church. Who's coming? Do I have somebody? Who is it? Who's gonna come? Who's coming? I hear my soul hears. Oh, so somebody wants to come down. Who are you? Who are you? Come down. I miss American churches, man. American churches are great. Like I'm talking about a good black church. You ever been to a good African American black church? It's a great experience, man. I'm telling you. Anyways, let's hop in. I'm eating to my 15 minutes. Sorry about that, guys. Let's scroll up a little bit and see what we got here. Benji. And by the way, if you don't see me reading your question, just retype it in. Okay. If you typed a question earlier, feel free to retype it. Okay. I think the first question I see here maybe actually has to do with Simone Justiev says, "Hey, I bought 6K of good at 106 good last September. I sold it 3 weeks ago at 65 good. Oh my goodness. Close to 3K profit. Oh wait, I misunderstood what you wrote there. Okay. I brought 6K of good at 106. All right. So you had good last September, and now you sold it later when the good was more valuable, right? And then you made incredible profit. Okay, that's what you're saying. Well, I mean, shit. I mean, you must be a savant, Simone. And who'd have thought the good would have been at that point at that time, and then would have went that direction. So hey, you sometimes being an investor is just being lucky. So good for you, Simone. Good for you. BG Bell says, when you go to the south beyond St. Louis, like my hometown in Okai, Port Salut, you should stop on the way over there to Jeremy. You know what? Okai is certainly on the list. I don't know Port Salut. I don't know when I'll do Port Salut, but certainly Okai is on the list of places I want to go to. So I don't know. I can't tell you. I can't tell you when Okai would be on there. I'll be honest. But I would like to do it this year. This is a major city. I guess I got Jeremy, and I got St. Mark, and then from there, I don't know what's next. So at that point, I'll probably do another poll and ask you guys, where should I go? And so, Jabel, make sure when that poll happens, you click your option, and you tell your friends to tell me to go to Okai, and I'll go to Okai. You know, but I don't. Only place I know for sure I'm going to go for sure before the end of this year. We got to do Cap Haitien again. We got to. Like I did it. I did Cap Haitien even before I got my team. It was just me, my then fiance, now wife. We were just vlogging style and just going around filming stuff. That's also the trip I proposed to her. But and I edited that video myself. I did myself. You know, me. I sat behind the computer, edited that video. You know, I was 100% me. If you want to go, guys, if you guys want to go back, SeeJeanty Cap Haitien, put that in there. A lot of people ask, have you done Cap Haitien yet? Yeah, I've done it. I did it. Like when I relaunched, because I did a pause with SeeJeanty for a little bit because I was so overwhelmed with my businesses. And then when I relaunched it, I made it a point, I don't ever want to have to pause again. So that's why I built a team and infrastructure around SeeJeanty. Your funds help with that when you join the WhatsApp group and everything to continue to grow that capacity. And so that's why I haven't had, you know how to compliment me, guys? The biggest way to compliment is to say, man, Chris, you are the most consistent Haitian YouTuber, Haitian social media person I've ever met. I love that compliment. And that compliment goes to right here. I'm like, oh, thank you. Stop that. I blush like a schoolgirl. I said, I blush like a schoolgirl. oh, really? You noticed? So, because it's a lot of effort. I work my butt off. We work our butt off. The team works our butt off to be consistent, to be able to drop every week a new bit of content, right? And so, so that was before I had the infrastructure I have now. And so, so we're going to go back to Okai for sure. But as for Okai, I don't know. I'll do another poll, and I'll let you guys tell me where to go next after Jeremy and St. Mark series are done. Okay. All right. Just keep an eye out for that. LF asks me a question. Says, hey, can a country like Haiti use deficit spending to develop, or does that work for big nations? The problem with Haiti is that it would be fine if we actually had something we were exporting. And because we don't have anything we're exporting, it devalues our currency even worse. Because already our currency has a pressure coming from the fact that no one wants it. Because to want our currency is to also want something of our economy. And since we're not producing nothing, right? And when worse, our economy is 80% imports, right? And so if anything, you need their money, right? So there is a inherent economic preference for other money. It may be euros, may be dollars, right? So when you have that dynamic already, that's already pushing the value of your currency down. And then you deficit fund your government. You have to understand deficit funding has the same effect as printing money. Like literally, it tastes like chicken, it smells like chicken. Guess what? It may not be chicken, but it may as well be chicken, right? And so when you deficit fund and you force the central bank to put your debt in notes, in the form of notes on their books, right? It has the exact same effect, because when the central bank does that, it gives the government cash, right? Even though that cash is technically funded from somewhere. I don't know which hedge fund or multinational entities is purchasing those notes and those instruments that technically would allow, and I sure as heck no, it's not being done by local corporate institutions. That's usually another big source of note holders, corporate institutions, right? So who's really financing it? And so what you really have is you have not even the theoretical aspect of you creating money, but you have a literal aspect of creating money, because you're creating banknotes, you're creating cash that is associated with banknotes that have no support, right? They're being on the books, except for being on the books of the central bank. So the answer, LF, is no. No. For a country like Haiti, no. You cannot deficit spend to development. You really do have to get balanced books. And the worst part is you can maybe argue and say, hey, no, well, if you were to say, well, they're deficit spending to build infrastructure. They're deficit spending to make it easier for businesses to be able to get their products in and out of this country, right? Maybe that could potentially be an argument to say, well, that could be okay. And it could be, and maybe in the long run, it would be, but they're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're deficit funding to give themselves funds, the government give themselves funds. And who knows what's happened to the funds? We know this. We know there's Petrocaribe. We don't know what happens to these funds, right? In full. You understand? So great question. I appreciate that. Elvis de Jesus asks, please open the topic on the building of Haiti DR wall. I talked about it. It says pros and cons. I mean, listen, I don't really like talking about anything Dominican Republic. I'll be honest with you, because Dominicans come in and light a fire on my excuse my language, light a fire on my butt. And I don't. It's fatiguing, man. To get there's two types of very ignorant people, and I say the first ignorant group of people are Haitians themselves. When you present them, anything that goes against the narrative of what they've decided to paint themselves as. Meaning, if I show a nice house, right, like the $1 million homes that I show, you'll get 20 ignorant Haitians who come in and say, it's for the Syrians and it's not for Haitians. They'll say something, oh, look across the street in the Bidonvilles and how dare they build homes. And it's like, don't you want development? Don't you want options for folks? Don't you want those who are going to come to invest to have a degree of standards so they can launch additional things, right? And I have a much longer speech about that, which I've shared, and it's actually on the $1 million condo, the first pinned comment. You can read what I wrote, to folks. But that's one. But then you have this other very common ignorantness, which comes from Dominicans. And you say anything about the Dominican Republic, good or bad, they come at you like bees out of a hive, to sting your eye out. So I don't necessarily like talking about anything Dominican Republic because of it. It's fatiguing to read. But there are certain things I have to talk about, like the border wall. And the only thing I'll share with that is I'm for it. Build that wall, but build it up. I'm for it. If I got to spare a few hours, you let me know where that border is being built. I'll come and help you. Do you know why? The reason why is there's an incredible amount of contraband, a massive amount of contraband. When I say contraband, what's contraband? It's not drugs. It's just stuff, eggs and meat and mangoes and banana and banan and a bunch of stuff that could be produced in this country comes from Dominican Republic, floods in, and it keeps our local production depressed. It makes it so it's not in any investor's advantage to do certain things because there's a Dominican version that they can buy for half the price because it didn't come through customs, it didn't pay any tax. Meanwhile, you as a legitimate business, you're paying payroll tax, and you're paying income tax, and you're paying the Mali who's harassing you every other day, coming at your door saying, hey, we haven't built you roads, we don't give you water, we don't give you security, but hey, pay us money. We're the government, right? So it's quite frustrating, right, to try to do legitimate business in this country, and yet you have a flood of contraband coming in this country, affecting your business, and then the same Dominicans are in your comments saying, y'all Haitians need to stop admiring us, and y'all need to just get y'all country together. These are the same Dominicans. They'll say, hey man, y'all need to get Dominicans' name out your mouth and fix your country. Meanwhile, it's your country that's causing our economy not to grow in the efficiency that it needs to. It's just a funny thing, right? It's a funny thing. The same person punched you in the mouth is asking you why you're holding your lip. Why is your lip busted? Like, Pop, why is your lip busted, bro? Like, because you punched me in the lip. See, I already got some Dominicans mad. Now the Dominicans are like, oh, see, you're blaming Dominican Republic, man. See, that's what I want to talk about. That's what I'm talking about. But anyways, to answer your question, Jesus, I am for the wall being built. Right? Let's see. Let's get some new people asking questions here. We got Kevin Thompson asking, Bitcoin is a central bank digital currency, CBDC. It's not like Bitcoin. You don't invest in it, just like goods, except it's digital. Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate the clarification. I appreciate it. And I certainly will look into, I guess my big thing is always is really, I still don't quite understand what's the point. What is the point? Because the energy and time is being used for something like Bitcoin. If they could focus instead on PayPal, like PayPal's still not in Haiti, and you don't know the amount of pain that causes legitimate businesses being able to sell to the world. You don't know how much pain it causes. It could overnight. You can have a generation of young 20-ish, 19-year-old, 20-year-old Haitians who speak good English, who could become part of the global workforce by becoming remote whatevers, right? You look at the Philippines, and a lot of Indians, they don't work in call centers. They simply work at home, and they do different, Fiverr, and do different odd freelance jobs, and there's a lot of that they're able to do because they can receive payment in PayPal. Not to say there's not other options, but they're very expensive. There's a lot of fees. PayPal is flat 3%, and you're good to go. And so I always question, you spent how much money to do, and how much time and how much energy when you could have got the low-hanging fruit of PayPal and really revolutionize the digital capacity of this country. I don't quite understand it. I don't quite understand it. The 900 mil. That's okay. You're talking. Terry Daniel was talking about the World Bank. If you follow me long enough, every week I give an exposition of what the World Bank is doing in the country, right? In fact, for example, I'll go to last week. And last week I talked about the World Bank donated $75 million, right, in a form of a grant in conjunction with the International Development Association, right, to help with social protection, right? And now this was basically a social safety net to allow Haiti to develop, so folks have a means to. It's very similar to what we had in America, where as you didn't have any income, you were going to get cash transfers, right? So that's one. That's just one. 75 mil. That's one of the 915. Another thing I talked about. Let's see if I have any other new World Bank stories. That was the big one. So that was the big one I had for last week, right? And each week, if I were to go through my notes, I store somewhere else. So I don't feel like digging through and getting it. Every week I talk about what the World Bank and what a lot of these big things are doing, right? So I haven't compiled it to Terry. I haven't compiled the whole. This is from this month and this month, but I've talked about it constantly, here in Haiti Biz News, what these different institutions are doing, and a lot of them are honestly, on paper, great, really impactful work. That you can vilify these institutions to death. You can do that, but when you look at the actual projects and at least on paper, what they are, me as an economist and business person, I'm like, great, this is good stuff, So I hope that answers your question, Terry. Let me give IG some love. I see some folks in here, and IG asked some questions. Let's see. Certainly, let's grab an IG question in here. Let's see. My thing is tilted. There's a question about the Lovely Martina, I don't know if she's still here, asked about found insecurities. Is Haiti still open for business? Um, so life goes on. I think the big thing to understand is that those insecurities are in specific pockets that are really um, uh, inconvenient in the sense that that pocket controls you being able to go to the south of Haiti. Um, and that's the big thing I gave a big speech about a moment ago, which is, I could very easily ask, hey, with all that mass shooting in America, how is it to live over there where you can get shot in the head for going to Walmart? I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, the big thing I always stress is, Haiti is unfairly defined by its negative at a point that really, because again, I go to Jacques, I go to Ansavo, I go to Miagwan, and it's a whole different world. There isn't, when I'm in these cities, I don't lock my doors. I don't lock my house door. I leave things in the back of my truck, and my guy, some of my guys who are more, city dwellers, like, oh, Chris, you should probably take the stuff, your very expensive equipment out the back of your truck. I'm like, listen, I'm Undale. Ain't nobody doing nothing to us. Okay, I could leave my wallet on the top of my car, and I can come back hours later, and multiple people would have passed by it, and it would have been touched. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is the reality of anywhere outside of Port-au-Prince. But yet you have people joking around and saying, insecurity is it? No, but that's what I'm saying. That's why what exists here needs to exist, because you have this narrative amongst Haitians themselves that makes the pockets of insecurity, even though it is increasing, and I'm not sugarcoating it, but those pockets of insecurities do not define the 95% of Haiti that is functioning. People are living their lives. They're hearing about insecurity just like you're hearing it in your AC, your air conditioned rooms in America. They're hearing about it just like you are. Like, oh, things are. Because when I go to Cap Haitien, you know what they say? When I go to Cap Haitien, they ask, man, how do you live in Pays Chaud? They call Port-au-Prince and Cap Haitien Pays Chaud, the hot country, right? It means two things. People in Cap Haitien consider Port-au-Prince another country. They don't consider it part of Haiti. They consider it another country, and rightly so, right? Because Port-au-Prince, and especially those pockets of insecurity, do not represent 95% of Haiti. But still, you have Haitians themselves pushing a narrative that Haiti is all that is. Oh, I'm not going to Haiti. It's insecurity and kidnapping. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you going to Cité Soleil? Are you going to Le Grand Ravine? Are you going to Matissa? Are you going to these places? Then yeah, you probably shouldn't come to Haiti. But for you just being a regular person and living, that's as much as I'll say about that. Let me grab one more from Instagram. Is a referendum binding? Yeah, it's going to be binding. Once it's voted on, it's going to be binding. Now, whether or not it's going to be whether or not it's going to be upheld if Jovenel loses power. I mean, so if Piach Tekal loses power, and it's going to be binding, that I don't know. That are they going to do another referendum? Listen, Haitian opposition, this class of political actors, they live in chaos. They live to create chaos and void, right? That's all they do. They don't provide any alternatives. They don't organize and provide any substance to their hatred of anyone doing anything positive for the country. They stand to do one thing and create void and chaos in this country, period. And so, it's very likely they'll probably try to do another referendum. And now we're stuck in a cycle of referendums for the next 30 years. This is the reality of the country, of what we live in. Haiti's problems are all sourced by a class of political actors who do not care for country. They don't care for country. They care for self, right? So that's that question. I know times I'm a little over. here, but let's try to grab two more from the chat here, and then we'll call it. Oh shucks. Stop it. Oh, stop it. He gets it. Those who came earlier know why I'm doing that. Let's grab a question. That's $1 million question, my friend. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. That's a great question. I'll just leave it up on the screen for a little bit. That's a great question, right? Let's see. Weed Cod says, what's the best thing to invest in Haiti right now? That's a very subjective question. Listen, probably easily the safest investment in Haiti is if you already have land. Okay, and I mean, like, you got land from your grandparents, and there's no dispute. Everyone knows it's your land. There isn't any, So I preface it. I put a big asterisk right there. If your family has land, then the best investment is to do something with that land, whatever that means to you. That may mean building on it, building property, real estate, rental properties. It could also mean, for example, we dropped a video last week where we presented an idea with visionary entrepreneur Joel Auguste, where he was giving that, hey, you can plant trees, guys. You can plant trees, or you can plant fruit trees, or actual hardwood trees, and over 20, for hardwood trees, over 20 years, you can make, for a consistent $1,000 to $2,000 investment every year, in around 20 or 25 years, could be even less than 15. I have to go back to the video and see what he said. That consistent $1,000 or $2,000 investment each year will give you over $1 million. Hello, is anyone hearing me? Is this thing on? I don't think they heard me. I said if you have land in Haiti and you just buy each year $1,000 or $2,000 worth of seeds, you put it in the ground, you get somebody, you pay a guy, I don't know, any gérant, $50 a month to kind of just water it for you. In 15, 20, you will have $1 million. So that's the answer with card. If you have land, that's the easiest, best investment. Build something on it, do something with it. That's probably, I can answer that. I have a, listen, by the way, I have a book. It's a great time to tell you, I have a book called 101 Ways to Make Money in Haiti. Right? So I have 101 ideas. So that's one. And so if you want more, check out the book. It's well received. It has great ratings on Amazon. Check it out. Okay, let's grab one more question and we out. Let me grab a more recent question. Let's grab a recent question. I'm gonna skim through a good one. I'm gonna just be quiet for like 20 seconds. Don't freak out. I want to read a real nice question, and then I'll share it with you. Let's see. I don't see questions. Questions. I'm not seeing it. For my last question, I want to read a good one. For a nice, good question. Hey, wait a minute. What do you mean your book doesn't work on your iPad? You have a Kindle? You should get a Kindle. Get a Kindle. It should work on your iPad, man. Kindles work on iPads. I don't know. Might be an Apple thing. Amazon, Apple, they ain't beefing. It might be an Apple thing. So that was the question. Private dialogue. So the nearest to private dialogue I have, Serge, is this WhatsApp group. You understand? I run 5 different businesses. I'm married. I have a life. I can't be talking. I have thousands of followers that would love to have a private conversation with me. I can't do it. I can't do it. Let's be very clear. And low key, no offense, sir, just it's very selfish of someone to want a private conversation. I would never want a private. I hate when I say that. People think, oh, he's so big headed, but I just want to use an example. I would never want a private conversation with Elon Musk. I would never want a conversation with someone like a Mark Cuban, because these people are insanely busy, productive people, right? And honestly, for who I am, like who am I? Who am I to demand that I have a private conversation with Elon Musk or Mark Cuban? Now, I'm not Mark Cuban. I'm not Elon Musk. I don't have a fraction of their wealth, but understand, the best way to get in touch with these people and these mindset is to support what they're doing. I own books published by Mark Cuban. Other guy I respect tremendously is Damon Dash, right? I have tremendous respect for the his original Fubu. I own all his books, right? People, those level of people, they provide you content for you to consume because they are insanely busy people who can nowhere in the world sit with an individual person who DMs them and says, hey, I got an idea, I want to talk to you. I appreciate you want to connect with me and support and show me love. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot to me. But understand, I am not a media personality. I am a businessman first and foremost. And I have employees, I have obligations, and I try to have a sliver of a life. There is no way I can sit with people. Now, the private WhatsApp group is a way for me to sit with multiple people at a time. You see the difference? I am sitting with multiple people at a time, having conversations, even though I'm giving you individual attention in that WhatsApp group, but I'm answering it publicly in this group anyways, so other people can learn from the conversation at the same time. Because honestly, 9 times out of 10, you're asking the same questions 10 other people just asked me. You're not asking anything unique, right? And so when I answer in a public forum, other people like yourself have that question. They gain insight from that question, and I'm scaling my time, right? I'm making my time matter because I'm connecting with more people. And most importantly, listen, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who, I'm just a guy who, unlike other people, what makes me unique is that I am not tolerant. I am very intolerant of not acting. That's it. I am not any smarter than anyone else. I'm not any wiser than anyone else. I'm just a guy. I just dislike not acting. I see something and I act. I see a problem, I fix it, right? I go to fix it. I try to fix it. I try to be the change that the world should see. I try to implement it, right? But the thing is, there's other people like me, right? And so when you're in this WhatsApp group, you're with other people acting and being influential, and they have insights that are better than me. They have insights and perspectives that are better than mine. There's guys in there today that provide insight that I learned from. I go, wow, thanks for dropping that nugget. I didn't know about that. Thank you, right? And so, the WhatsApp group is there as the nearest medium to engage, So that's my answer, and I think that is an appropriate final comment to read. It's important that you guys know that exists, and I look forward to seeing some more folks in there from there. Okay. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of the stream. It was an absolute pleasure to be here for pushing almost 3 hours. You guys make this very pleasurable for me. Even though I am insanely busy, I enjoy this very much. I enjoy being in the environment of other people who are thinking about Haiti, who want a better Haiti, who are fatigued just as I am, that we have this constant, bad governance that keeps Haiti from being great, from being the place we all deserve it to be. And I know that, today I had a consistent 90-ish people on the stream. Probably could have been more if my internet wasn't being a baby, childish. And so that's 90 plus people that took time out of their Sunday to listen to just a guy who has intolerance of not acting for a betterment. But that also means there's at least 90 plus people who feel the same way. And if you multiply that 90 people, drop them strategically across the country, Haiti can't but help the change, right? So thank you. As always, you guys make the SeeJeanty audience the impactful place that it is. Remember, we have lots of videos that are out. We've dropped since the last time we were out. And do catch up if you haven't. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if it's your first time watching. Hit that follow button if it's on Facebook. Go to the YouTube channel. A lot of our content's there. Go to our YouTube channel. We have a website, SeeJeanty.com. Explore the website. A lot of cool little stuff on there. And listen, I appreciate you. And as always, we'll be back at it again when we're back at it again. Peace.